What's going on, everyone? So, a player that I've talked about to kind of keep an eye on is Nikola Vucevic. Now, it's not my own personal thoughts. There were reports about a month or so ago when I originally brought it up that Nikola Vucevic may end up being a buyout candidate. That Chicago has tried to shop Vu. They've been unsuccessful dating back to the trade deadline. And if they are unable to find a trade partner for him, then it is very likely that he is going to be bought out. Well, we got an update. And this is from Jake L. Fisher. He provided an update basically saying that same thing, right? That Chicago has been unsuccessful in finding a trade. So they're more likely than not to buy him out at some point. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the original reports were they might buy him out before the season began. But according to Jake L. Fisher, it's likely that he'll be bought out during the season rather than traded. So Jake L. Fisher says there's no trade market for Nikola Vucevic, and he is more likely to be bought out during the season rather than traded. So Nikola Vucevic, I don't think that they're going to find a trade for him. I think that ship has sailed. Chicago has not done a very good job managing and handling kind of their veteran guys. I mean, we've talked about it for years, right? With Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball and Nikola Vucevic and all these guys that they kept believing that they were going to finally get over the hump year after year after year after year. And you had teams like the Lakers who were very desperate at points, right? Who would have probably ponied up quite a bit to go get a Vucevic or, Lakers were interested in Vucevic at the deadline, right? But they didn't want to give up a first and all this other stuff, right? So, you get Chicago who they believed and wanted to hold firm and are like, we know what we got. It's the whole, you can't lowball us. I know what I have here type thing. Turns out, look, now you're going to lose him for free and you're going to pay him to lose him for free. So those kind of things, good thing we're not Bulls fans, right? But Nikola Vucevic as a backup, I would absolutely love. Now, obviously, I'm sure he would want to find a starting position, find a starting job. But outside of maybe Indiana, right? Where is he going to go? Now, maybe the Warriors could be a destination, but the Warriors are expected to land Al Horford when the Jonathan Kuminga thing ends up happening. They might also end up landing a trade. So supposedly Phoenix is willing to add in a Nick Richards to any type of Kuminga trade deal. So, Warriors might already solve that position. Same thing with Indiana. Also, is Nikola Vucevic wanting to go to Indiana or is he going to want to go to a contender? I mean, he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 before the season begins. You got to imagine that at some point he's going to want to go and play a role. So I think wherever he goes, it's probably going to be in a backup role, especially if he ends up getting bought out during the season, right? So if, come late February, early March, and he ends up getting bought out, then he's going to end up being a backup regardless. So then it's kind of like pick your team. So to me, if I'm the Lakers, keeping an eye on Nikola Vucevic, right? Because I would personally, I'm okay with Jackson Hayes, especially to start the season and stuff, but I would like a more versatile backup, a more experienced backup. I've talked about this, right? I want to see a more veteran backup that you can trust and rely on, and that has a little more skill set, has a little more versatility, right? I like Jackson Hayes. I liked him even last year, right? But what did I keep saying? He's not a starting center. He's more of that third center, that energy guy coming off the bench, giving you 10 to maybe 15 minutes on a random night. Yeah, he can fill a role if Ayton's out for a night and you want to start him, fine, right? We've seen him be able to kind of, fill in the gaps when, a guy's been out. But to me, as your primary backup, it's not my favorite. I don't think it's the difference between, Jackson Hayes and a higher end backup is not that big, right? Backup, very rarely do people like, oh, let's talk, it's usually centers. It's not, oh, what's the top 10 backup centers, right? Because it is by varying degree. It also depends on who you're playing, how many minutes, especially once you get to the playoffs. You got to imagine DeAndre Ayton's probably playing 35 minutes a night, right? So, the backup center, I don't think is as big of a need as it might have been in previous stints. However, if you can land that guy in Nikola Vucevic, I would prefer it, right? Now, as far as Vu and his fit, if the Lakers were to land him, he's not a Luka center, But he is very different from DeAndre Ayton. He can rebound, he can make plays, score around the rim. He can kind of be that kind of calm, right? When offense is starting to get stagnant, you can't find the bottom of the net, you can throw Vu out there, just put him on the block and let him go to work, right? Let him make a play. He even is like a poor man Jokic in a sense where he can make passes and reads out of the post. He averaged just under 4 assists last season. So he's a guy that can make plays in the post. You can run your offense through at times. Things start getting stale. Spread the floor, knock down the 3-ball. Ayton is money in that like 15 range, but he's not. He's shown the ability to step out and knock down the 3-ball, but not a guy you want taking any type of significant threes. If Nikola Vucevic has the season that he had last year, then that'd be huge for the Lakers. I mean, he had really a career year. But more than anything, it's more the rebounding, right? It's the offensive scoring and stuff. And I understand people are going to be like, oh, we need, defense. Who's that defensive center that you're going to get in a backup role? Like even Nick Richards and stuff is not great. Like he's good, he's okay, he's better than Vu. But honestly, if you look at Vu's defensive metrics, he's actually good. It's just if you watch him on the court, he's a guy that if you funnel the player into, then he can clean it up. If he's on an island, you're cooked, right? Like if Luka gets blown by and the last line of defense is Nikola Vucevic, it's barbecue chicken all game, right? Like, so you need to have the defensive pieces around to kind of help funnel guys into Vu, and then Vu can clean it up for you. So look, there's probably not a bet. Like Nikola Vucevic would be the best option at the backup center position for the Lakers, right? And the best ability is availability, and he's a guy that is available. He's a guy that plays, right? Even, with a DeAndre Ayton, there's questions of how many games is he going to play. Well, it'd be nice to have a guy in a Nikola Vucevic that can play some of those games, or if Ayton needs kind of a little more rest or something, for like a nagging thing or something, you can just kind of run with him and you'd still be fine in a lot of ways. Still run a lot of the same actions and sets and the pick and pop stuff. Vucevic is also a LeBron type of center. Right, the guys like Vu have usually had success playing alongside LeBron. Right, think Chris Bosh. Think of Kevin Love, right? Guy that because LeBron likes the deck clear. Right, clear it out, then put my head down, get to the basket, and if not, then I can kick out to shooters. Right, Nikola Vucevic can be one of those guys. Where Ayton again, kind of there's those questions about him knocking down the 3-ball with some consistency. Where Nikola Vucevic, he can step in and he is able to do that. He is capable of knocking down the 3-ball with some specifics, right? So I would love Vu, again, a guy that has experience, shown up in the playoffs, guy that, again, who's better in a backup role? I mean, if I told you that the Lakers last season were going to end up with DeAndre Ayton and Nikola Vucevic, people would be telling me I'm crazy. Right? Like people would be telling me like, oh, Tyler's delusional. Here we go. And now look, now it could be a possibility. Again, obviously Nikola Vucevic has to be bought out and he has to want to go, but he does have ties to LA, USC guy, right? So there is that kind of in for the Lakers. He'd be able to go to a team that's going to be trying and contending for an NBA championship. So, he would be another fit and piece. Right? And this is why I'm okay with the Lakers kind of being patient. I'd like to see a trade. I'd like to see a clear move and upgrade, particularly at the wing, but you're still seeing and hearing so many guys that might end up getting bought out. Take your time. Right? Again, there's 2.5 months between now and training camp. You don't need to go run to the door to go and make a trade or do anything. Take your time, be patient. Let's see what unfolds. All of a sudden, Nikola Vucevic and Jeremy Grant end up getting bought out, and boom, your problem's solved. Maybe a DeMar DeRozan, boom, solve some of your bench scoring too. Pull off a salary dump trade at that point, and you're in business, right? I'm sure there's a team that would just take Gabe Vincent, or take Gabe Vincent if you attach Dalton Connect or something like that. And it's like you still have your picks, you still have your first, you still have everything, and now you just land in Nikola Vucevic, a DeMar DeRozan, and a Jeremy Grant, right? Again, I don't know who's going to be bought out, but you're hearing these rumors and reports, just like there were with Marcus Smart, just like there were with DeAndre Ayton. All of a sudden, those came to fruition. So maybe this is something that can kind of do the same thing. But to kind of go over his productive season, I mean, last year he was a 19-10 guy with just under 4 assists on 53% from the field. And that's counting 3-point shooting and everything, right? So, like I said, he had a bit of a career year. So No, I don't know how well is he going to be able to maintain, but 73 games played. You look at the last handful of seasons, 73 games, 76 games, 82 games, 73 games, and then 70 games between the split of Orlando and Chicago. I mean, so this is a guy that the last 5 years has given you basically 70 plus games. So again, the best ability is availability, but 31 minutes per game, 14.2 field goal attempts per game, 53% overall from the field on 4.4 attempts, 40% from three-point range. He is a career 35% three-point shooter, so keep that in mind. But 2-point range on 10, just under 10 attempts, 9.8, 59% from the floor, 59.2% EFG. Free throw shooting, 81% on 2 attempts. Grabbed 10.1 rebounds, including 2.4 offensive rebounds, 3.5 assists, a steal, a block, and 18.5 points per game. If you can land him, I would love it. I'm not expecting him to be a 19 and 10 guy, but can he be maybe half of that? Could he be like 8 and 5 off the bench in a backup role? And then the games that he starts, maybe he could be that 18 and 10 guy for you, right? Maybe it averages out on the season where he's like a 10 and 10 guy or something. I'd be totally stoked for something like that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.